Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Spoke Too Soon podcast. This is episode 3. As usual, I'm your host, Noah Royes, and joining me again is good friend Sam. Say hello.
Hello.
The discussion for today is about custom builds versus modifying a complete bike. It's that time of year. People are looking at getting new bikes to get into the season with. Kind of just get a little excitement going. And yeah, this is the time of year where people are looking at getting new bikes. Sam's actually in the process of building up a new bike himself right now. So I thought the conversation would be fitting. And we're going to see what we have to say about it. So, Sam, I'll pose to you just a broad question first.
Yep.
And that question is, what do you think is the better move for most people? Do you think the better move is buy a complete bike and modify it, or just do full ground up custom build?
I'm going to say already buy something complete and modify off of it after.
Man, you're just like, you're throwing my opinion, you're throwing like what I think you're going to say for a total loop. Because like, you're the guy that has always been making custom builds for as long as I can remember. And I'm just like, why did you have to say that? You're totally like, you're throwing me so far off track. Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I just did my first custom build this past summer. And yeah, I'm going to say in this economy, custom build. Custom build is the way. I think custom build is the way in this economy. And so we're both going to we're going to battle each side why we think people should do one thing or another. So, I'll start first with a point for custom builds. Well, naturally, you get exactly what you want in all of the sizes that you want, in all of the colors that you want, with all the performance that you want and none that you don't need. You get to pick exactly what you want. And if you look around in the right places, you can find everything you want in stock. So, I think that's the biggest argument for going custom build is you get everything you want. If you feel, oh, I want the really nice suspension on a mountain bike, but I don't want to spend all the extra money to have an XO axis drivetrain. I'd rather have like some Dior 12-speed mechanical drivetrain that works just fine. And like, yeah, it's a bit heavier, but I don't really care about weight on an enduro bike because it's already heavy. Or on a road bike, I can say, oh, I really want to spend more money on wheels. And again, I don't really care about the drivetrain, or I want to spend more money on getting the new group set that has the really nice shifting, but I can cheap out a little bit on the handlebar, stem, seat post, or yada, yada, yada. You can kind of pick and choose where you want your money to be spent versus when you buy a complete bike, you don't really have the same choices.
Yeah. I'm going to say, honestly, because you talked about today's economy, it is the worst thing to do right now.
Why do you say that?
I've done, it's going to be my fourth one now. And like by far buying a complete or doing a full custom, I'm spending at least over $2,000 to $3,000 more with a custom build.
I mean,
now,
you're also getting boutique parts. Like you're getting, like, you've had Olin suspension on all of your builds, I'm pretty sure. You've had like you just got a bunch of TRP drivetrain stuff. Like nobody specs bikes with TRP in the way of drivetrain. Like TRP brakes get specced on lower end bikes, but it's like nobody specs with TRP. You're getting all these boutique brands, so it makes sense that you're paying more because you're getting stuff that OEMs don't get.
Yeah, but I mean, a fork now, like even you buy a new Fox 38 or the new Podium, or you buy a new and you shock from them, like you're still spending almost as much as what I'm spending on Olin's. It's just the thing is, I'm saying this because I have a lot of stuff that I'm carrying over to my new bike that's coming, and I still find myself spending more than I would if I bought it complete with a somewhat similar spec.
I guess you're just kind of adding up what the value of all those parts would be.
Yeah, but I mean at the same time, it's like normal for a custom to cost more, just because when you buy parts separately, it's the markup on stuff that makes it skyrocket in price. But I will admit that building your own bike, making it your own, having what you want on it, is like fun. You don't have to worry about like, oh, I have to mod this, I have to change, or I have to buy this later, or I have to upgrade this later on. You just know that you have everything you want, which is like the best thing ever. But at the same time, like this year, I almost decided to keep my Druid just because of how much stuff is costing now.
So let's talk about pricing a little bit. I will acknowledge, like some companies don't sell frames for certain bikes, and some companies only sell frames. But when we look at the companies that sell both, I'm going to pick on Norco here just because it's a bit of an egregious example. Norco's frames, the carbon frames, are over $5,000 Canadian. They're $5,300 Canadian. You can buy a C3 build. You can buy a complete bike for 6,500 Canadian carbon. Like the same frame with wheels, suspension, everything for 6,500 bucks. So if all you really care about is the frame, you can buy the frame, or rather, you can buy that $6,500 complete bike, and you can get way more than $1,500 for everything else. So you can effectively pay less for the frame, and then put whatever parts that you want on it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like, as an argument for buying a complete bike and parting it out and selling things and putting your own stuff on it, is like, you can almost save money on a frame set when you do it that way. But at the same time, if you're smart about where you're shopping, there's some crazy deals to be had, especially on like maybe previous year stuff. Like suspension from previous year gets discounted so heavily. Like ballpark in Canadian dollars, a RockShox Ultimate fork is like $1,600 Canadian. If you look at just the previous year, same damper, same everything, just because it's the previous year, it's suddenly like $400 cheaper. Or if you look at brakes, you can go like, oh, I'll just get this like previous generation that is realistically exactly the same. When we look at like, say, Code Stealths that are also now discontinued versus Code RSCs, basically the same brake, just the cable runs out of the hose a little bit differently. So again, I'm sure you could find Code RSCs for dirt cheap, especially if you look on the secondhand marketplace as well. Find some like takeoff brakes that people just want to get rid of.
And there's a lot.
There's a lot of takeoff stuff that's sitting on secondhand marketplace,
especially now with how bike market's going. So
it's everything's just sitting on.
It's easy to find parts.
Facebook. It's pretty easy to find brand new parts secondhand or very lightly used parts secondhand. But you do forego warranty, which I do understand that. But yeah, so on the topic of pricing, if you shop smart, you can save a whole lot of money. Like we're both industry. When we're building up a new bike, we're buying things through our shop and our distributors because that's the most efficient way for us to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's still expensive. And like really, like there's some places online selling stuff for cheaper than we can get it, which is ridiculous. Like when we look at Shimano Di2 road groups, there's shops selling complete group sets for less than cost, or less than what any normal shop can get it for, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a lot more common in Europe and UK and all that. But if you shop smart, you can save a lot of money on components.
Yeah, well, I mean, and especially too that like I mean we saw it with the with Fox. You know, before it was the grip damper with all the like low speed, high speed compression and rebound. Now they switched it to grip 2, and when they released it on all their new forks, they said to everybody who had the previous damper that they could just swap it with
Yeah,
that new
the
one.
new Grip X and Grip
So
X2 and
you
yeah.
could, yeah. So I mean, for pricing wise, you could just buy a last gen suspension, and you can swap a damper because most of them
Yeah.
now it's just a damper change. There's no like actual internal differences, so you can upgrade and save there too, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah.
You see more and more big brands doing stuff like that, so it's easier to get parts now. It costs you less too if you wanted to. It's less expensive to buy a air spring than it is to buy a whole new fork,
Oh, absolutely.
or
Yeah.
to buy a whole new damper instead of buying a whole new fork just to get that new uh, higher end kind of adjustment feel.
Yeah. So, Sam, do you have kind of another point that you'd like to bring up on why you think you should buy a complete bike and change things as you see fit?
Well, like when you buy I mean, it'd be the same thing for custom, but when somebody first comes into mountain biking, they buy their first complete bike. It's their first big kind of purchase into the world of mountain biking. And sometimes, they found a bike, they like the feeling of it, and they're not willing to spend another big amount on their bike, so they keep it and change it as it goes, kind of make it their own, just slowly. I think it's something that's nice too. You make it your own slowly. At the end, it ends up being your proper own custom build too with time. It's just in a different time frame or manner. But I think that for some people, buying a complete and then just changing certain things here and there, kind of making your bike your own, just one little part at a time, is easier and less stressful than trying to start from scratch where you're not sure of where to go for parts. Because I mean, the difference between say me and you compared to a regular client, we don't have access. They don't have access to this plethora of part catalogs to kind of give themselves a vision. So it just kind of helps ease that side of things out. So it's just for that, it's a little more simple and yeah.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring that up. Like for the people that maybe don't have the funds to do a full custom build right now and can only afford something that's doesn't have all the parts that they want but has some of the parts they want, just buy a slightly cheaper complete bike, and then over time you can spend that extra money as it comes to you to make the bike exactly how you want it to be. I
Yeah.
think companies like Ibis with the Ritmo AF have such a capable platform as a frame, and they spec it with affordable parts that you could be so happy with that bike when you upgrade it slowly over time to suit your needs as a rider. And it's super cool that brands are actually making very capable platforms that can be built off of from a very reasonable price.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll talk about kind of what I did with my first custom build. Was I had bought a complete bike, which was my previous bike. It was a Mondraker, and I bought a frame off of Marketplace that was very lightly used. It was a crazy deal. I know I work in the industry. I should be buying everything new, but I couldn't pass it up. And I just I swapped off most of the parts from the Mondraker. I left the suspension because the suspension, or at least the shock, was a different size, and the frame that I got came with a shock. I traded somebody for a different fork. I drivetrain swapped over, brakes swapped over, wheels swapped over, and it was so easy and so painless to not have to think about parts, like having to source new parts when building up this new bike. But that does also come with the complication of, if you're trying to swap parts off of your old bike and put it onto a new bike, say if you're whether you're doing custom build or if you're buying a complete and parting things out and whatever, having to deal with compatibility can be a pretty big problem. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
my old bike was press fit, but this new bike is BSA. I need a new bottom bracket. Oh, my old bike is 31.6 seat post, and my new bike is 34.9 seat post. I need a new seat post. Oh, my old bike was Super Boost because brands were big into Super Boost a couple of years ago for some reason, and now my new bike is just regular Boost, so I need a new back wheel, and it's, or at least a new rear hub, and then rebuild the wheel. There's a whole lot of complications that can arise when you're trying to like part things out, which I'm supposed to be pushing the case for a custom build here, but I'm really just pushing the case for modding a complete. Um, Having a complete bike means if some of the parts off your old bike don't work, you can just use the parts that came on that complete and then deal with upgrading it later, which is pretty cool. I'm really just pushing modding a complete here. I don't know what I'm doing anyhow.
But I mean, if you flip it around for what you were saying, it could be the same for a custom though. If you decide to keep parts or transfer them, if you decide that you went from a big enduro bike and you want to try a trail bike, there's things like maybe shock won't fit anymore. Like you were saying, hub spacing. Sometimes there's some brands that their bigger bikes have that wider hub spacing, but on their shorter bikes they've put that boost instead. There's like it could be the same thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying.
And kind of to link back to what you did, like your frame, your optic was not a frame of the year,
Yeah.
but I mean the only difference with now it's the color. But that's the other thing that if we wanted to say for people who do complete builds. I mean, bikes now we see the trend; they change every 4 to 5 years. We see big geo changes.
We see full updates in the mountain bike space. It's a little less frequent. In the road space, it's a little more frequent. Mountain bikes, I would say it's every 4 to 5 years. Road bikes, it's pushing 3 to 4 years. Like we've seen updates happen in like a 3-year time period, and we've seen some bikes that are still running on like a 7-year lifespan that they haven't been updated yet, which is kind of crazy. But
so like for people who buy completes and are not after the chase of having the color or the bike of the year, it just makes more sense. You buy your first big full complete build, and then you work it from there. And then when you see that in 5 years this frame is changing, and I'm like, I want to finally change bikes, it's kind of a simpler step towards that. But then if you're somebody who's always wanting the new, kind of try something new every year, then that's where I would say, you could keep going into that custom build area and just either transfer certain parts you really like and want to keep, and then sell the others and help kind of recuperate costs for other stuff.
I suppose the other thing worth noting is when you're waiting that long between bikes, when you're waiting 5 years between bikes, technology changes a lot. So like again, some of the things on your current bike just might not be compatible, but there's also just going to be a lot of improvements to technology. So sometimes it just makes sense to buy that complete bike and even just forego the entirety of your previous bike, start new.
Yeah.
It's like, say, massive updates to suspension, like an old 36 versus a new 36. The vastly different forks, almost entirely based off of the bushing offset or whatever it's called. Just much larger bushing offset in the new 36, which makes that 36 feel way more capable than the previous one. So it's like if your old bike had a 36 on it, it's like I want this new 36. Let's go for this one. And I can sell the old 36, I can sell the entire bike, and then use that money to put towards this new bike. But it's like technology changes a ton. I think we're getting to a really good point with frames, and I think we discussed this last week on the episode that we recorded last week. Geometry and standards are kind of settling within mountain biking. Road biking as well, standards have kind of started settling in the way of like a lot of companies are moving back to threaded bottom brackets in the road space. Almost every road bike now is 100 mil front hub spacing, 12 mil through axle, 142 mil rear spacing, 12 mil through axle. Mountain bikes are mostly settled on boost. Um, so standards are settling in the bike industry. So again, if you have a bike from before these standards settled, you may just want to get brand new bike, get all the new standards, get yourself set up with what's modern, and then you can build from there. Because I don't think there's going to be a ton of changes in that spot in that space. Um, as much as standards are settled now, there's still technology developments in suspension platform, in drivetrain components, and brakes and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like, what fits and what doesn't fit will likely still remain the same in probably the next 5 or so years. I don't see there being too many new standards introduced.
I think there's gonna be less and less standards.
So more standard
As
standards.
well, yeah, like now we're seeing it. Well, like UDH, I think that's like as far as it goes, I think bike companies are gonna start utilizing it a little more.
I
Just
think
because
honestly, a
it's a,
bike today that comes out without UDH, in my opinion, is dead on arrival.
I mean, there's some like I mean it depends. Like some of the smaller brands that are just starting out sometimes because you kind of I don't
UDH is
know.
free. You don't have to license it. UDH is free.
Well, there.
It's like any bike, in my opinion, in today's. This is a bit of a tangent. Any bike that comes out today without UDH, in my opinion, dead on arrival. Like the Giant Revolt, the gravel bike that came out last season. It was, I think it was 2025, maybe it was 2024 that bike came out. Well into like UDH being widely adopted, didn't have UDH. Kind of dead on arrival, in my opinion. When every other gravel bike is getting spec'd with UDH, and SRAM has all these full mount group sets that you can choose from, and even more like boutique derailleur manufacturers, the likes of Ratio Components or Madrone, have like a full mount interface that you can use with their derailleur. It's like, in my opinion, if it doesn't have UDH, it's dead on arrival.
I mean, it's also Giant, right? They've always been.
Yeah, Giant. Yeah, Giant is Giant. But okay, so let's get back to the whole custom build versus modding a complete when you're looking for a new bike. Um, I have a point that I don't think you can counter for getting a custom build.
Okay.
And I kind of brought it up earlier, but a lot of the really cool development that's happening in the mountain bike industry and in the road bike industry too, to be honest, is happening from these smaller boutique brands. And a lot of these smaller boutique brands, or even just like direct from Asia brands that are actually pushing development, but don't really have the connections to sell complete bikes. A lot of these brands only sell frames or only sell frame sets or whatever it is.
Yep.
So if you want that cutting edge from this small boutique brand that is pushing development and you can only buy a frame, you're effectively forced to do a custom build. But if you really want that cutting edge technology, I think it's worth it. I think the price of, like, yeah, maybe you pay a little bit more for the frame, a little bit more for the extra parts that you need, whatever. I think that's worth it to get that little extra cool from something new that is being developed.
Yeah, I couldn't. You're right. I can't really. I mean, it is true. You can't like. Yeah, you couldn't even if you wanted to. I can't really argue that. Which is like, as you see it. I mean, Deviate. I used to have some, and they used to do a lot of frame only stuff before. They did complete builds.
Are they doing customs now? Or sorry, not customs, complete builds now?
Yeah, I think they've been doing it for 2 years now.
Okay.
Officially, yeah. I think
That's
since they
solid.
released the Highlander 2, they've actually decided to do full builds now.
That's good.
But like it's really cool full builds though. Like you're not getting any like low spec stuff.
Like actually well thought out builds.
Yeah. Like I think the worse like drive chain you'll get was I mean when before all that T type stuff was out was like GX, but you would always get either King Creek specs or Olin's on your bike, depending on which like quality build you wanted. But there's nothing ever lower than GX. So any consumer would actually buy something very concrete off the bat.
Yeah, definitely. I have kind of we haven't already discussed this. We took a bunch of notes before we started recording, but I have a question that we haven't already discussed. And the question is, we're first going to start with full custom, and then we're going to go into pick a base bike and then change things. You're already doing this, Sam, but if you today had to build a complete bike in the most efficient way possible that you think is going to be great for most people, how would you do it?
I would put most of what I want in like my brakes.
So like let's say like we'll ignore what frame we're picking. Like people can
Yeah.
pick whatever frame they want, but let's go with like say I want like a second tier this, or I want to have a carbon this, or I want to have an aluminum this, or I'll sacrifice here for the sake of budget, or yeah, like explain it like in that way.
Well, I mean, I would say most of the budget I would put towards what's like less of a wear item than other things.
Actually, hold on. Before we get going here, I'll let you do mountain bike because
Okay.
you know more about that. I'll do road bike, and I think we'll both probably be on the same page for both of those things, given that custom builds are reasonably. There really is kind of one best way to do custom builds if you're trying to be efficient, in my opinion. So I'll let you do mountain bike, and then I'll do road bike after.
Okay, cool.
So go off, Sam.
All right, so for mountain biking, I think the most efficient way to do it would be invest energy in like frame, whatever frame you pick, carbon or alloy. That's up to you. I would say go alloy, less expensive, and they're you're only saving what half a pound and a half. It's not too bad. I would put most of my energy in stuff that you like, you kind of need. So like a good set of brakes, and then good suspension. From there out, a transmission. You don't need necessarily to have the top end suspension. It's a wear item. You're changing if you ride a lot. You're changing chains and cassettes and chain rings once a season. Stuff costs a lot of money. So I would say, you could buy mill range transmission. Some of them last as long as the high end stuff. You don't need to spend too much bank on that. And now with rims, carbon rims are cool, lifetime warranty. They're light and they have a tendency of breaking less. But I mean, with what's coming out in the alloy side of things, with crank weather synthesis enduro alloy wheels, anything from reserve or race face, you can buy something that's less expensive. You're not paying $2,000 for a wheel set. You're paying 800 to 1200 max, and then you have something that's lifetime warranty. So it keeps your mind off of having to buy new rims every time. So I think better off getting the important stuff like suspension, uh, anything contact points like handlebar, stem, grips, and then brakes. I think that's where most of the energy should be put in, because that's what you want to make yourself comfortable and happy riding your bike. And then from there, any other parts that are made to help you pedal and make your bike roll, I think you can cut down and still get pretty cool stuff without having the brake bank.
Okay, so the general sentiment there is spend the money on the non-wear items.
Yeah.
Stuff like your suspension, stuff like your brakes, stuff like your touch points.
Yeah.
And then spend a little less money on the wear items like your drivetrain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I agree with that for the most part. Like, I'm more than happy going with a slightly lower end drivetrain because I know I'm going to be wearing through it. And even low end drivetrains today perform super, super well. I would much rather have, at the very least, like not necessarily top tier suspension, but like one from the top tier, something like Fox Performance Elite or
Yeah,
RockShox Select Plus
yeah.
suspension. Like more than
You're
happy with that. Like I have all the adjustment that I need. They all perform super well. Brakes, I wouldn't spare a dime on. I would spend every penny that I need to know that I feel comfortable with brakes. So I 100% agree there. Wheels are, I feel like wheels almost depend on what frame you get. It's like if your frame is super stiff, maybe go for some alloy wheels to increase the compliance a little
yeah.
bit.
I mean,
Or
there's
yeah,
that too, but I mean, like honestly, from like other I mean, I've mostly ridden carbon on my custom builds, but like my downhill bike, I have FR 541s from DT, and I've absolutely like not been nice to them. They're super solid. I mean, like even now, like one of the big ones that we like at my shop are anything from Crankbro, the new alloy synthesis wheels. They're super
Th-
solid platform. Their
those have lifetime
lifetime
warranty too
warranty
now. Yeah,
and their alloy, so their lifetime warranty. The new reserve alloy wheels, same thing. Nice solid platform. I mean, they're not going to be indestructible, but I mean, you break them, you
nothing's indestructible.
send an email and you get a new free wheel. So that's why I'm saying no need to go carbon, just because there's so many cool alloy options that are lifetime warranty now. But at the end, that's personal preference. But I would go solid alloy wheels that are lifetime warranty, and then you buy piece.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd agree with all that. So I'll get into road. So again, I think for the most efficient way to do a custom build, I am actually going to make a comment on what frame people should pick if you're trying to be efficient to do a custom build. Um, like yeah, if you're racing and you have the power to be pushing 50k an hour on the flats by yourself, by all means get a carbon aero road frame. But if you're just a Joe Schmo looking to go out on the casual group rides with your friends and stop at coffee shops every hour or so, like there's no point in spending 8 grand on an aero carbon road frame because there's just better ways to spend your money. Whether you spend that on something like a standard alloy frame or a more boutique, maybe panorama steel frame or what have you, there's a lot of really great ways to spend your money appropriately on a frame. Spending the better part of 10 grand on an aero carbon road frame that probably isn't going to be very comfortable is maybe not the best way to do it, but that's my little spicy take for the day. Um, in the way of everything else for components, I would spend by far the most money out of everything that, or rather, proportionally, the most money I would be spending on wheels and tires. Just because wheels make such a huge difference to how your bike feels. You can have a super stiff, responsive frame. If you put some cheap alloy wheels on it, it's going to feel like garbage. Or you can have like a very compliant steel frame, put some nice carbon wheels on it. It's going to feel nice and snappy and responsive. So wheels is getting the larger share of the investment for sure for me. I'm not all that pressed about hubs, to be honest. Like a DT350, it doesn't have to be
Yeah,
the lightest weight ceramic bearing hub. Just get something reliable that you're going to be able to service, um, and that has spare parts readily available. That's
yeah,
the most notable thing for hubs for me. But like nice pair of carbon rims on some reasonable hubs that are going to have spare parts available. Uh, Touch points. I'm going to diversify these a little bit. I'm going to specify seat post, carbon seat post all the way, especially for road and gravel bikes. Just because if you're putting a dropper post on a gravel bike, that's a different thing. But if you're sticking with a high post, carbon seat post, the level of extra comfort that you get from a carbon seat post, especially if it's designed properly, is next level. So I don't think I would forgo a carbon seat post on a road bike. Handlebar, I'd happily go aluminum, to be honest. I mean, like, yeah, they're a little heavier, but you can always upgrade it later. Especially if you're willing to do the maintenance yourself, just because with internal cable routing. It can be expensive to get a shop to do that for you. But yeah,
Our favorite.
group set, I'd happily go something the likes of SRAM Rival or Shimano 105. However, if I'm going Shimano 105, I would upgrade the chain and cassette to be Ultegra, just because Hyperglide Plus makes a huge difference to shifting quality from Shimano. So, but the actual shifting performance from 105 derailleurs and brakes are also fantastic. But yeah, SRAM Rival is really as high as you need to go to get that like top tier performance, and the braking quality from SRAM. So group set, you can cheap out a little bit. Like there's no need to go Ultegra, Force, Red, Durace, whatever. You can go like even the new Shimano Tiagra that just came out, solid stuff, like really solid. Still hydraulic brakes. It's 11 speed now instead of 10 speed. But yeah, I would say I wouldn't feel inclined to go past SRAM Rival or 105 if I was trying to be efficient with my money. And yeah, like fancy bottom brackets are cool and all, especially if they have a lifetime warranty on them. Like it's a forever bottom bracket, but your bike's not a forever bike, probably. You're gonna want to change something. So
Yeah.
unless you're getting a bike that has the exact same bottom bracket standard, which in road and gravel unfortunately is still not super commonplace to have like every bike be BSA or every bike be PF92 or every bike be T47 or whatever.
Yeah.
So getting a forever bottom bracket, in my opinion, is really only justified if you're intending on keeping this bike for a very long time, which I feel like most people aren't. So yeah, I think that's where my money would get spent for a road bike. Most of it in the wheels and tires. Group set can be second, third tier. Seat post, absolutely carbon seat post. Handlebar can still be alloy. Maybe just get some cushier bar tape. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Okay, so we're probably gonna have to take a little bit of time to think about this next part. But starting with a complete bike and then modifying it. We're gonna go away for a little bit. We're gonna find our options. We're gonna find our complete bike that we want to start with, and we're going to make modifications. We're going to keep the budget to
65?
I was gonna say 8.
Okay, yeah, we can, yeah.
Maybe 7? Do you think we can do 7?
Easy.
Easy? Okay. So we're gonna keep the budget to $7,000 Canadian dollars, which is all of 32 cents US. And we're gonna go away. We're gonna find our options, and we're gonna come back and we're going to discuss it.
7 hours later.
All right, we are back. We have been away. We have found our bikes. We've decided Sam is going to do mountain bikes. He's found a seemingly pretty good kind of pick and choose your own kind of thing for $7,000 Canadian, not including taxes. And I've found a seemingly pretty good pick your own for road bike. So, Sam, I'll get you to start off with mountain bike. What have you picked?
I have picked the Da Vinci Troy in the alloy frame with the Eagle 90 12-speed transmission. It's
Like that's the
57.
model there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's $5,700. Spec on it's already pretty good. Shock is a Super Deluxe Select Plus. The fork is it's a Select. We got Maven base frame. Brakes. Full SRAM 90 drivetrain. Nice set of double down rear tire from Maxxis to DHR2. Nice DHF in the front. Wheels are kind of meh. And that's and maybe dropper post. That's pretty much it.
So what are you changing on it?
So with the $1,300 that I have left, I would, since the shock wouldn't bother doing anything to it, Select Plus compared to the Ultimate the amount of adjustments is the same. It's just a slightly, it's an inner difference for the air spring and everything. And you have that hydraulic bottom out. So I would leave the shock as is. The fork, I'd get that better damper, that 3.1 damper instead.
How much would that
So
cost?
it's you can get one for 375 off of S4 right now.
Okay, so that leaves you
Um,
with just shy of $1,000.
Yeah. So then I would change the rims right off the bat because those Race Face Effect 30 wheels are trash.
Just the rims? You're keeping the hubs?
Yeah, I would keep the hubs. The hubs work actually pretty well.
They're Vault hubs or?
No, they're it doesn't say for some reason on the spec sheet what hubs there is, but if I had to guess, it's probably factor hubs.
Fair.
So I mean, they're not too bad. They're actually pretty reliable as far as what I've seen. And then I would upgrade my wheels to I would put Crunk Brothers Synthesis DH alloy rims on it, or the Enduros. Both
And
pretty.
how much do those rims cost?
I'm trying to do the conversion because I'm not sure if it's Canadian. I'm thinking it's around 229 each Canadian.
Okay. So you were just shy of $1,000. We were keeping the hubs. So let's assume that you're at 500-ish for rims.
Yeah.
And then are we paying a shop to build up your wheels, or are you building it up yourself, or what are we working on?
I mean, if it were up to me, I would yeah, so 225 for rims Canadian. I would do it myself, but you would get a shop to do it. So with spokes and everything, with spokes and everything plus
call it like $150
time.
a wheel to build kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I'd be left with like $30, I think, at the end.
okay. So that honestly sounds like a pretty effective way to spend $7,000 before taxes.
Yeah. I think
honestly, I don't think there's much I would change there. I like the putting of the new damper in the fork. That makes a lot of sense. And the just buying rims. Honestly, I don't know how much you could probably get pretty close to the same budget by just buying a whole new wheel set.
yeah, well, I mean, for what I wanted to pick, there isn't anything that would make me stay in that $7,000 price point, honestly.
That's fair, I guess. Okay. Moving on. Sam, you might be a little bit lost here, but I'm gonna start with the road bike. So the road bike that I have chosen is the Giant Propel Advanced 2. Just came out like 2 days ago. It is a really quite light frame. Comes with Shimano 105 mechanical. Comes with some alloy wheels. Does still come with a carbon seat post, alloy bar, integrated cable routing, hydraulic brakes. Everything you could really want out of an entry-level bike. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this bike that at the moment costs 3,900 Canadian dollars. We're going to spend an additional $2,400 on some carbon wheels from Reserve. Those come to $2,400 Canadian. So that puts us at, I think it was $6,600 was my math. No,
Okay.
It was $6,300 after you buy new wheels. We're gonna keep the same group set. The group set is just fine. So we just spent $2,400 on new wheels. We're at $6,300. What we're gonna do? We're going to upgrade the chain and cassette to Ultegra to get that increased shifting quality. I budgeted about $300 for that. Which realistically I could have overshot. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take another $220 to change the tires because the tires that come on this bike are hot garbage. And then you're left with $180 to do with as you please, be it a new saddle if you don't find the stock one comfortable, or new bar tape if you don't find the stock bar tape comfortable, or fit adjustments if your shop doesn't want to work with you on fit. So yeah, Giant Propel Advance 2, 105 mechanical build with alloy wheels. We're going to put on some carbon wheels from Reserve. Comes to $2,400 Canadian. It's $1,800 US. And we're going to upgrade the chain and cassette to Ultegra, and then we're going to upgrade the tires. So that puts us at $6,820 for the final total for the road bike.
That's actually pretty decent, honestly.
I'm pretty proud of that one. Full disclosure, I was looking for a mountain bike as well, the same as Sam. However, I was just so lost that I decided, you know what, I'm going to do a road bike. I know more about road bikes. And I let Sam have his time in the sun.
I did take me hard. I did have a hard time finding something too, though, because like there's a lot of alloy bikes now that you look at certain build kits, and for what you're paying, and you would want to upgrade. Like we were like going way over $7,000, like easy.
It's really easy to spend more than $7,000. I think had we limited it to 8, we would have had a lot more leeway. But 7, I think, restricted us enough to actually make it creative.
Yeah, and like I mean, honestly, even though mine doesn't have a lot of upgrades done to it, the base platform is already pretty solid.
Yeah, it's like realistically, you don't have to do any upgrades to any of these bikes that we've picked. You could very happily just pick these bikes and be on your way.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, even like my bike, I said like upgrade wheels, but Raceface now does lifetime warranty on alloy stuff too.
True.
So I mean, the people could just keep those wheels. It just from experience, we know that they just break to nothing because it's a welded rim. So they just
hey,
snap
it can keep breaking, and Raceface will keep replacing it. So,
but
so yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot to end it off. I think we both made some pretty fair points for both doing a custom build and for modding a complete bike. If you're looking to get a new bike, it is that time of year, people. If you have any questions about what you think our opinions would be on what is a better bike to pick for a certain budget or what have you, feel free to ask us in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the episode, let us know. Leave a like. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us how we can improve. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, I've been your host, Noah Royce. Sam, thank you for joining me once again. Always a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time, everyone. Ciao.
Goodbye.